Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richeimer. Wow, we have so many questions coming in today. This is Deep Dive with Leah, and we are going right in. Go ahead. What do you got for me, Gila?
Okay, so Henny is asking, my husband doesn't get up in the mornings and everything is left to me. I've tried speaking to him calmly and asking how we can change things, suggesting different alarm clocks. I've done everything kindly until now. But when I'm not feeling good and I'm still getting up with the kids whilst he lies in bed, I'm starting to feel like a witch inside.
Hmm. So, gosh, I wish I had you live with me because I have so many questions. Like, not waking up the morning, at all. like, does he, I mean, that's a sign of depression. If he's depressed or if there's mental health issues, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. But um, let's just take it from, let's just say he just doesn't have good routines in his life, or he stays up way later than he should. I think it was Rav Monticello Solomon said that I hope that's who it is. I'm bad at exactly who said it, but it said, more than we need an alarm clock to wake up in the morning, we need an alarm clock to go to bed. So, the sleep hygiene of going to bed at the same time every night, we're like, one more thing, I can get one more thing done, one more thing done, one more email, one more Google, whatever it is. And that's a real problem because then the next day we're dragging because we didn't get the right amount of sleep. And if this is his issue of not being able to wake up in the morning, I assume there's no health issues, because if there was, you would have mentioned them. If there's health issues, it's a different ball game, and or mental health issues or medication needed, and any of those, physical or emotional, mental, that's a whole different story. But let's just assume he's a normal guy. He goes to bed too late, and he can't get up in the morning, and everything's left on you. Okay, so the biggest thing that we talk about in terms of your relationship with your husband is you cannot be his policeman. I'm going to say it again because there are some people who are their husband's policeman, and this is the antidote. Okay, you cannot be your husband's policeman. It is a complete recipe for misery in your home. With you say, and you say, well, he tells me he wants me to wake up. You say, I don't want to be your policeman. I hear it, or whatever, but I just feel like it sets up a very troubling dynamic between the two of us. My question for you, and now again, for those of you on the audio who are listening, I'm taking a cup, I'm making a bowl out of my hands and handing the problem to my husband. And I'm saying, what can we do about the morning routine? What do you think we should do? I'm finding it very, very difficult. I'm finding it very stressful. I don't know how to solve it. I've tried everything myself. I tried making sandwiches for the kids the night before. That's helped a little bit, but everybody's cranky at the same time. And the fact that you're still in bed, I have to be honest with you, it makes me feel like, why is everything on me? Again, remember, you can only do this if you're a full-time stay-at-home mom. Okay. If you then it really is on you to get them out in the morning. That's part of your job description. Okay. But if you have way more kids than you can deal with, or you have, your own issues of inability to accomplish what you would, what you feel you could or should be doing, getting two kids out to, for one mother would be easy as schmeezy, for another kid it's like, no, you don't understand, he's ADHD, he's got, whatever, and the daughter is always, they're always fighting, and so we all have our peckle, we all have our challenges, our troubles that we have to deal with, or the challenges we have to deal with. But if you are working part-time or full-time or whatever, then he should be doing actually more help around the house. So you need to judge that. I can't answer that part of the question. But in any case, the morning routine is a disaster, and it's causing resentment. It's causing your lack of closeness in your marriage. There's logistic solutions to so many problems. Like, most problems can be solved with $10. I'm kind of being facetious, but the guy comes home from work every day. He takes his coat and he throws it on the couch, and you're like, I cleaned the whole house. The living room is spotless. So you walk in here and it's spotless, and you throw it on the couch. And for 20 years, they're fighting about this. If the woman used her beanie as Sarah, her thinking, she could say, They had, at this store, they had a beautiful wooden coat rack that I can get and put it right by the door. But, it was $100. I'm not spending $100 for some stupid coat rack. Okay, okay. They had a hook. It was $5. It was $2. It was $2. Can I drill a hole by the front door and you put your coat there? Are you going to be thrilled with a coat hanging in the hallway? I don't know. It's better than it's on the than that it is on the couch, right? So a lot of problems are logistic issues. So let's start with this morning routine. It could be that you get let's say you are lucky enough to have a housekeeper every day, okay, and she comes at 9 o'clock and leaves at 5. So you call her up and say, I'll pay you X amount extra a week if you instead come at 7 and leave at 3, and maybe you need the 3 more because everyone's cranky at the end of the day. I don't know, but there's a lot of things that a woman can do using her Benia Sarin logic to try and figure out how can I solve this that will make things easier for me, easier for my husband. If you can't think of logistic solutions, again, you're going to your husband, and you're saying, we got a problem. He may think it's your problem. Why is it my problem? I need to sleep in. Go to him with the issue and say, I really need help with this. I need your help. I need your input. I'm hoping that between the two of us, we're both smart people. I'm hoping that we can come up with a creative solution that works. And whether that means, you have it, you have the responsibility for morning routine every day, but Tuesday morning you're off. Maybe that will just be enough, or Wednesday, whatever, closer to Shabbos, cooking, whatever. Maybe that would be enough of a relief to you that the other days would go more smoothly. Again, get creative. Great question, and get a notebook. Buy yourself a notebook, beautiful pink one, turquoise, whatever colors you like. Get a beautiful pen and write out different logistic scenarios of what might work. What are 100 ways to solve this issue that you can bring to your husband to discuss? Okay, best of luck to you.
Okay, what a thorough answer. There's so many ways
Yeah.
that she could tackle this one. Thanks,
Amen,
Leah.
amen,
Okay, so
amen.
Bathsheba's asking, I've been married for many years and I really want to thank you for changing my marriage. Aw,
Huh?
things are much calmer and kinder in the home. But one thing is that my husband tells me I ask too many things of him. I know that you speak about our wants versus needs. I was hoping you could clarify it to me.
Very good. So, yeah, so the issue is that wants and needs, a woman has them all mushed together, right? They're all it's what's it called? Superimposed upon each other, and then so we don't know what we need, we don't know what we want. We just know that it's all mushed, and we treat our husband like a vending machine. So, when a woman has clarity about what her needs are, and a lot of women say, Leah, my husband just doesn't meet my needs. And I'm like, well, what are your needs? And they're like, I don't know, right? How do we expect our husband to fulfill our needs if they don't know what our needs are? So how do you do this? You actually get a big fat beautiful notebook, okay, and you start writing down all your needs and wants, and you everything. I want a new sheitel. I want him to stop putting me down in front of my mother-in-law. I want, I need him to stop talking so harshly to me. I need, whatever. You write everything down that is in your head, and people say, well, I'm going to come up with things, and then I'm going to be disappointed that he can't get it. It's like, no, ladies, this is already in your brain. It's already making you miserable. It's already making you dissatisfied with your life. Being happy with your lot in life. If you get these all out and you realize how ridiculous it is, you'll fill 3 notebooks full of wants and needs or whatever. Anyway, you go back through and you cross out stupid things. I don't need a trip to Cabo San Lucas. I don't need a new sheitel. I'm okay with my, and you cross them all out and then you circle things that you really need. That is the shift we're talking about. Now, you had said you heard of this before, in Marriage Secrets. This is Marriage Secrets. I got 220 Torah sources. This is an art scroll book. And this book, I make no money from it, by the way. 100% of my royalties to get donated for Shalom Bias Education. I'm a full-time volunteer, so I can push this all I want. But there is a whole chapter in here on how to separate your needs and your wants. Ladies, this is so beautiful. When a woman knows what her needs are and she gets 2 or 3 of them met, she is the happiest woman in the world. Whereas even if she got 100% of her wants, you ever notice that? Like you get a new car or something, and new purse, a new dress, you love it, and then it just becomes it's in the back of the closet, or you're driving the car, and then 2 weeks later you don't even notice it's a new car anymore, right? Wants are very fickle. They come, they go, they whatever they need it, we don't need it. We buy something, we're like, why did I buy that? So wants are very fickle and they will never make you happy. The only thing that has a chance of making you happy is getting your needs met. And you can't get your needs met if you don't know what those are. And I'm going to give you a quick example and we're going to go to the next question. Quick example is I had a woman who wanted Shabbos flowers every Friday, that whatever. So when she did this exercise, she's like, oh, the reason I want these flowers every week is because my neighbor sister-in-laws all get them. My sister gets them. What I really need, she had an anxiety disorder, and sometimes she would like begin a panic attack. And she said to her husband, when I get like that way, if you just calm me down and say everything's going to be okay, I'll be fine. If I have that support, I'll be great. And he's like, I'm busy. I'm at this realty deal. I've got a $1 million client on the phone. I can't drop everything to help to do that. Anyway, she went to him and she said, I have a want, which is to want flowers every week. I have a need, which is when I am feeling anxious, I have a need to call you and to have you support me. If you will say that you will take my calls when I call you with my anxiety attack, I will forgo ever getting flowers. You know what the husband said? Really? That's all? And they made that shift. So knowing what your needs are is your superpower on how to get them met. So good luck with you, and have clarity with that. And you should go weiter having clarity on your needs so that you don't throw everything and just think of your husband as a vending machine. Okay, good.
Such a good perspective of that shift. I love it. Because like when you're thinking about everything on the table, husbands don't always know
Yeah.
what's everything in the mind. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
putting it all out there is great. Okay, Alana
Great. Great.
is asking, I try to take on different things I hear from the ladies' talk show, and one thing was to serve my husband before my parents. It was a disaster. My parents got offended, and my husband got upset with me and said it was unnecessary. I feel stuck in the middle. Uh-oh.
Huh. Okay, so what she's referring to is other shows, ladies talk shows where, um, there is a halacha about taking care of your husband versus taking care of your parents, and people get this wrong all the time. Men get it wrong, women get it wrong. There's a difference between a men's obligation and a woman's obligation. It's very complicated. Ask your LOR, local Orthodox Rav, okay? But the basic thing is, if you walk into the kitchen, if you walk into the dining room with a bowl of soup, who do you serve first? Your father or father-in-law, mother-in-law, or your husband? So the answer we got was you serve your husband first, but she's saying that was a big disaster. So I'm not sure. She didn't say whether that was her mother-in-law or her mother, because if it's her mother, Ma, I just learned this thing that I'm supposed to serve my husband first. Could you, Mavater, could you forget, how do you say Mavater?
Could you give in?
Yeah, could you give in, and just let me serve him first? Because I learned that was a halacha, that's something I should do. But by the way, everyone has to ask their own shaila because you might get a different answer than we got. But is that would that be okay? And her mom would say, all right, let me talk to daddy. I'll get him to be okay with it, right? But if it's your mother-in-law, it's a little bit more awkward, and probably the son feels like he should Kibbutz Aim should honor his parents, so that's a different thing. The basic thing
I
is,
think it's a way to win points with your mother-in-law.
there
I
you
want to
go.
serve your son. He's the first one in my life.
That's so cute. That's adorable. Okay, but she'd have to be an elevated type person to be able to mavater that. So, but the issue is that this comes down to communication. You having conversation with your husband and you say, listen, I really want to serve you first. If you're telling me it's going to just only cause headaches and you'd rather me serve them first, I will do it. But you should know, as I'm walking to your mom, your father, your mother, as I'm walking to them with a soup, I'm going to look at you and wink because you're the number one priority in my life. And that telling him that is the be all and end all. That will make him feel the whole purpose of, I would believe, of a person of Hashem saying we should serve our husband first is so that our husband gets the covet, he gets the respect that he absolutely needs, like oxygen, and we ourselves learn what is the most important thing in our life, taking care of our husband. We're Ezer Kenegdo. That's our number one job above everything else. And I know, there are people, maybe you're listening to the show for the first time, like, excuse me, because this is politically incorrect. But what I'm saying to you is that if you try this, just try a couple of things, but don't interrupt him. You greet him at the door, do something to show him a huge amount of respect, and you'll see, like, suddenly he'll come out of the woodwork and buy you flowers. Like, wait, Leah, did you call my husband and say to buy flowers? Okay, so I'm just saying, are we doing it because it's the right thing to do? Treating our husband like our number one priority in our life? Yeah, that's kind of what Hashem wants of us. But here's the kicker. Not only will it be the right thing to do in Hashem's eyes, but you will be the primary beneficiary as the fruits of that labor, because your husband will cleave to you and be closer to you and wanting to be closer to you than he's ever been before. And that's not because Leah Richeimer thought of this great idea. It's because at Har Sinai, Hashem gave us the Torah, and this is what he said: a man needs respect more than anything. And it works like magic. Just watch. Try this at home. Okay, do we have time for another question?
Yeah, we have time for another question.
Okay.
Okay, so this one's coming in hot and heavy. You ready, Leah?
Okay.
Tara's
I'm buckled
Tara's
in.
asking, when I married my husband, it was kept secret that he's on medication for depression. I feel so betrayed by him and his entire family that I can't bear being around any of them, and I have zero trust for my husband. The depression is mostly kept at bay, although he does occasionally get down. But the point is that if I knew, I wouldn't have married him. There are a lot of good qualities, but whenever I try to focus on them, the distrust takes over. Can this marriage work? And if so, how?
Wow. Oh, I've got
So
like
it seems like she's coming more from the point of the feeling of betrayal versus
yeah,
depression
yeah.
itself.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally hear. This is really, unfortunately, it's a shaila for a Rav, because there are, you know, there are ramifications to their deception, that I don't is above my pay scale, sorry, but I do know many such cases like this that have worked. Meaning, I know that, and actually, it wasn't so much deception, but like, somebody had a mental breakdown after they got married. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it might have been predicate. That maybe somebody who was a professional might have seen signs of it or something like that. But I guess that's a little different than the deception that you feel was pulled over your eyes. So I hear that. I'm just thinking out loud, as you can tell. But what the point I was making there is that a lot of, rolling the dice of life happens that we don't know about. Now it's not, off, it's not always tied to deception. So this one is, and that's the issue. But I just want you to know that you could be, there are people who they're married, they're having a lovely life, they're married 20 years, and their husband gets in a car accident, God forbid, and becomes disabled, or their wife, something happens, or mental issue. This is just life. So the question, to answer the part of your question, is can the marriage work with this depression hanging over your head, with this part, with this being part of your life? The answer is absolutely 1,000%. We all deal with stuff, and it's all hand tailored and hand picked for us by Hashem, to bring out our shlemus, to bring out our tikkun in the world, our perfection, and our raising up, and our ability to become the best people we can be, and to have self mastery, and to grow to be an extraordinary person. We all have that challenge. Challenges handed to us by Hashem to grow us to be the best people. So the issue itself, you should just know you're big enough to handle it, because otherwise Hashem wouldn't have given it to you. So that's the first part I want to just clear the decks with that so that you're clear on the marriage can be awesome and extraordinary. And by the way, certain people with depression, sometimes they're more creative. They've got other gifts. Like Hashem just doesn't take away; He gives something else. Maybe He's more thoughtful about your feelings because of his depression. Maybe He's better with the kids. Maybe if you look, you will see certain qualities that He has and certain strengths that you don't find in other people. They're His superpowers that balance out the being depressed, and Baruch Hashem that He's be able to control it with medication. Now, for the deception, this is a challenging issue, and again, as I said, this is really a shaila for a rav in terms of what ramifications come from that. But I will tell you that, I know plenty of wacko deceptions. I know somebody who married somebody, a girl was 5 years older than her parents said she was. Okay. And I think she was 34 and the guy was 29. And they said, oh, she's also 29. Right. They got married. They're under the chuppah. They whatever, and he sees her at some point. Sees her driver's license, and I don't know if she was part of the deception or she wasn't part of the deception. And it affected how many children they were going to have, how many years of childbirth years they were having. I mean, it was very happiest couple ever. You know, so very bizarre. It can work. There is issues to deal with about it. There's a lack of trust of the in-laws, um, a lack of trust of you and your husband, and I think those can all be worked through with conversation with your husband, with the in-laws. At some point, if you were to imagine yourself being the biggest mensch ever, right? We all are at some place, and we all, have a goal to be that kind of a person. As long as we're going upward, we're in the good direction. Okay, but if you could imagine yourself and visualize yourself, and this is perhaps why God gave us the ability to imagine. If you could imagine yourself to be an extraordinary mensch, what would that look like? Well, it would be, the in-laws were afraid that their son was never going to find a good wife, and they saw you, and you were a great catch, and they didn't, it's controlled with medication, and however they talked themselves into deceiving you. You know, it didn't from a place to make your life miserable. It came from a place of loving their son and wanting the best for him, and being afraid, and must have been devastating when they first found out that he was very depressive, although many people live with that very, very well for their whole lives. But in any case, if you were the biggest mensch of the century, you would be upset, and you would you might be able to let it go, or just not, make it be less and less of a horrible thing they did to you. So that would be a place to go to in your mental dealing with this, and to try and become that person. And it could be that your mother-in-law has a beautiful gold watch, and you say, you deceived me. Give me the watch and I'll forget about it. I'm kind of joking, but I'm just saying there are things, mitigating factors when someone pains you. I always find when someone's late to a meeting, right? And other people's like, why are you late? And you don't respect me. You don't respect my time. But I find if they're late to the meeting, you come on time and they're 20 minutes late, they're apologizing the whole time. And then you're having a negotiation, and it always goes in your favor because they feel so bad. So there's something good comes from bad things that, not always, and a lot of times you can't see them. But anyway, the point is that if you can forgive your mother-in-law, that would free your heart up a lot in terms of anguish and suffering. Now let's get to your husband. In your relationship with your husband, it's coming clean with this and saying, I love you very much. Your depression really doesn't affect my day-to-day life so much most of the time. I would love, I would need, or I would love for you to apologize for deceiving me. I mean, I'm having, it's a hurdle for me. It's a hurdle for me to get over that you would do that to someone else, let alone to me and how my feelings are. And if you feel that you and your husband have been able to have conflicts and resolve them and get closeness, and for those of you on the audio, I'm putting my hands together like close, close. If you have good communication history in your marriage, then that conversation could go very, very sweetly, and it could bring you to the other side of it. If, on the other hand, there's a lot of conflicts, a lot of tension, you have something bad happens and you guys don't deal with it well, you probably have to bring in a third party and to discuss this issue. But the bottom line, I'm telling you, there's the last thing I'm going to say about this. The bottom line is that with the right communications, with you shifting your head with the in-laws and shifting your head a little bit with your husband towards forgiveness, with the right conversations, you can get on the other side of this and begin from a clean slate with a whole new life of closeness with your husband. It will take work, it will take effort, it will take emotional upheaval on your part, but it is possible. And I encourage you very, very strongly to do it, because we know that if you stood under the chuppah with your husband, somehow, some way, Hashem put a stamp of approval that that was what was meant to happen in this world, that that was what was needed to happen in this world. And so if you take that to heart, then you'll do whatever you possibly can to preserve the marriage and to get back to a harmonious place. Okay, I babbled a long time on that one, but you see, it's very, very crucial issues, and your lives are on the line, because being able to trust your husband and feeling, getting over the deception is very, very crucial to your carrying forward, and for your children to learn emis, and your children to learn forgiveness. Okay. All right. I wish you the best of luck. I think we're out of time, right? No, yeah, you're nodding. Yeah. Okay. Let me give the homework.
Yeah.
Okay. The homework is, one time this week, everybody who's not just that lady, but everybody who's listening today, one time this week, forgive something that you thought was unforgivable. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world, but something, think over, like something that you're annoyed with your husband about, that, whatever. And you're like, oh, I want to talk to him about that. And he did that again. One time this week, forgive him for something you feel is unforgivable, and you will witness with your own eyes a closeness that is available with your husband more than ever before when you forgive and forget. I'm not saying if he did something horrible that you shouldn't talk about it. There's some things that you have to have big, deep conversation about. But there are other things that are just petty, and I'm just saying, do your best one time to let that go. Okay, it's Leah Richeimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you next time.